Hello viewers, well today sees the release of Victory Heat Rally, a game I've been covering to some extent for the last few years. It's been in a sort of long, we wouldn't say development hell, but certainly in a stage where the developers have wanted to get it right, and it's finally being released today on the PC. So there's a link to the Steam in the description, and I can already say, as far as indie titles go, it's one of the better ones and definitely worth a look. It's a lot of fun. But let's talk about it, because this isn't a full review today. Again, it's an impressions chat. I've played a fair bit of the game and I'll give some feedback as we go on. So Victory Heat Rally, it's a game that fuses many art styles to it. You have a sort of Super Nintendo vibe, which they catch absolutely perfectly. They've captured it in a way that I don't think many games ever really do, of that happy, colourful vibe. From the moment you press start, you see the menus, you have your floppy disk, and you choose which save type, what colour floppy disk you want. Love that detail, to going in and having the character come on, say a few words and it being text chat, which works perfectly. You've got characters, you've got a vibe to this game from the very off. Of course, you select your car based on its performance, and your car has its own driver, and of course you'll unlock more drivers you go on. And then once you select your car, you'll be selecting your suspension, your tyres, and of course the colour of your car, and no doubt there are other elements to unlock along the way. And these elements do add a different handling dynamic to your car. I've been working on that a bit. That's one of those things that going through a game like this takes so long, because first you have to hone your skills with a particular car and then start adding elements to it so you understand the differences that you're adding to that car, rather than just going straight in trying all these different things out. You need a basis for reference. So Victory Heat Rally, first thing you've got to do is learn to control the car. There's very helpful tutorials in there that will get you started. It's an unusual control method, but once you get your head around it, it starts to sort of come together, and then you work your way into the game. You've got an arcade mode, you've got a championship mode, as well as the various versus options if you have friends locally to play with. It's great to have split screen gaming. Split screen gaming adds a whole new dimension to something like this. It really does bring you back to those. Again, I always think of things like Rock and Roll Racing or that Super Nintendo era. When I look at the art and graphic design, wonderful. The game has been through a sort of a phase of an evolution of design. I guess it first started looking a bit like Power Drift, and gradually the courses have become more 3D, whereas the menus have that sort of 2D Mario vibe. So we have 90s style design combined with the colour palettes of modern style games, but capturing that era. The music throughout is fantastic, phenomenal. It's one of the best things about the game, actually. It's got that sort of Ridge Racer vibe to it. Yes, I know it's got the Ridge Racer vibe, and I love that. The music is awesome throughout. In terms of general options and structure, it's all there. So it's a very complete, very polished game. It's a game that doesn't feel like it's... So many games are released unfinished these days. It feels like a complete product from the off. Everything is there, so much to explore, and there's lots of tracks to explore as well. Tracks designs start very basic, and then they work their way through, getting more and more complex as you learn how to control your vehicle. So in terms of just general layout, it's all there, lots of fun. And then there are bonus stages where perhaps you race against an opponent, or you have to knock things over and do it within a time, and then you can unlock various elements as well. So lots to see and do in the championship mode. I'm still working my way through that, and the arcade mode. I've got a couple of questions on one of the modes where I don't know why I've not unlocked another section yet. It's a bit strange because there's not an area that shows me my trophies in the way I would like, but either way I'll come back to that. Let's talk about the handling for the minute. The handling is the only thing I find a little bit weird in the game, and that's because on the face of it the car is quite strange to control. I couldn't tell you whether it was easier to control with the D-pad or the analog stick. It sort of waves around a bit just in default steering, and that also may depend on what car you're driving and what tyres and suspension and everything else you've got set up. So if I'm just talking default level, it's a bit strange. And I say it's strange because it's gone from the Power Drift, where it's sort of that everything was effectively 2D, Pseudo 3D, to a 3D game with a 2D car planted on top. And even though it looks really nice, I'm not certain whether it should have gone with a whole Choro Q sort of 3D car vibe. There's also a disconnect from the handling in terms of when you're just driving, not drifting, just driving and waving around for a moment. I sometimes feel it would have been nice to have turned in and felt as you start to get that understeer, then applying the drift. It would have added a bit more dynamic. There's also no vibration through the controller. There's just little elements to the handling, I think, that's not necessarily as polished as the rest of the package in some areas, and I'm sure the game designers will disagree, but just something I've picked up on. Suffice to say that it's a lot of fun once you get into it. There are still some handling and oversteer elements and drifting aspects. As I say this, I've not fully understood how to control the car accurately through every corner, and watching other players play, I'm still seeing that oversteering element. There's also the lack of sound to the car. It buzzes like a little bee, but there's something missing. There's something missing where it needs that sort of engine sound where you hear it getting, you hear that engine charging, and that gives you an idea on how to approach the corners. Especially when you're doing some of the Sega Rally style stages, you need to sound sort of something like this.
But Data got laid several times.
He was fully functional.
I know, but he wasn't getting
He had
any.
3 speeds.
I know.
Do them.
I can't. Denise Crosby.
Do them, Jonathan, do them.
I wish it was my joke.
I'm sorry. I had to just get that joke in there, but I was just thinking it needs these 3 speeds, and a Star Trek joke came up, and that's what we needed. We needed that sort of thing in terms of the engine, so we know when it's flat out, and it makes a difference because that tells you, communicates the arc the car's going to go in. So there's a judgment to it, especially on the Sega Rally style stages. Now I do like those, the stages that say easy left, easy right, whatever, medium left, because it really does give you a good indication of how to get used to those corners.
Easy winding left. Easy left. Easy winding right. Medium left. Medium right. Medium left.
And sometimes it's not always clear to me whether I should stay in a drift or whether I should, chain drifts together through corners. Some of the more tricky circuits I found were more fun when I got better cars and moved to grip handling, for example. So the jury's still out in terms of the whole handling thing. I still need to work on that. But so far, just with what I played on the package, great fun, indie game. I'm going to see how much it is actually on sale. How much is this right now? Let's have a look. It's £13.16 currently on sale with 15% off today on launch day. So I think it's well worth a check out. I haven't tested it on the Steam Deck yet. I'm sure it does work actually. It's not something that uses an awful lot of power. And it's very nice. It's very polished. I think it's well worth a look. In terms of one final point just on handling, it does take a bit of getting used to, especially the jumps. So you will just need to sort of line your car up, pick obstacles, and when you're going over blind crests, get used to those. I'll show you a little video of doing something like that now. But Victory Heat Rally, it's finally here, made by passionate developers who love what they do. They've created something wonderful in their own way, and I look forward to seeing where they go with future endeavours. And I hope this is successful for them, because God knows the racing game industry needs a bit of originality, it needs a bit of passion, it needs a bit of creativity, somebody getting something out there that's slightly different. And I think polished indie products like this can only be a good thing for the racing gaming industry as it is. What do you think of it? Let me know in the comments. But that's it from me for now. As ever, more soon.